It's the most wonderful time of the year. Yes, it is. I know that's a Christmas song, but I'm out here singing it. Why? Because it is the most wonderful time of the year if you're a spring turkey hunter. And especially for this old turkey hunter, it is the most wonderful time of the year because we're going to be talking about my favorite phase to hunt spring gobblers in, and that's the late season. So you stay tuned. We're going to be talking about how to hunt them here in May. You've heard me talk about the 4 phases, and you've heard me talk about, that late season phase. When it gets into that May, when it gets about the 3rd, 4th of May, all the way through May, it just seems like the gobblers absolutely just totally changed their attitude. The last couple of weeks, the 2 or 3 weeks, it's been a little bit rough because we've been in a lockdown. And, if you haven't seen the lockdown video, I did one about a couple weeks ago, and you can go watch that. And this is where they're locked down with the gobblers, or hens. Now, I killed one yesterday that was with a hen. So, he was locked down, never gobbled. He just was with a hen, and I called her into me, and, he came with her, and I was able to get him. But, they just get locked down with them hens. So, in the late season, it totally changes though. When you get all this foliage and you get all this greenery around, you know that the gobblers are about to change because the hens have to incubate their eggs. They're nesting, they're laying on them eggs. I've actually been seeing hens along the road just driving, just right around the hardtop roads. And whenever you see that, when you see a lone hen out by itself, just by roads or gravel roads, or when you just see them out by themselves, usually they got a nest that's somewhere around there. Well, she has to lay on them eggs. Think about that. She has to lay and incubate them eggs for them to hatch. So when she flies off the roost, where 2 weeks ago she got right with the gobblers and she was with the gobblers all day long, now nature says you got to leave the gobbler and you've got to go lay on that nest. That's why you'll jump a hen off the nest and 20 minutes later she'll come right back to it and get right back on that nest. Now the gobblers are getting by themselves. You give it about another week, and you watch and see the turkey's moods change. Them big old long spurred 1.5-inch gobblers that wouldn't say much, the last couple of weeks because it was locked down and they didn't have to gobble. Now they'll start getting vocal, especially up in the middle of the day, especially up in that mid-morning range. They'll start getting vocal and they'll start just gobbling, looking for another hen, because that nature, that instinct to breed is there. They've only got a short window of their life cycle where they can breed, and that's in the spring of the year. Now you watch in the summer and in the fall and in the winter, you got to remember 3 out of the 4 seasons of a turkey's life, they are grouped up together. The gobblers are with the gobblers, the hens are with the hens most of the time. And so that's why when you fall turkey hunt, you've got to turkey hunt them different because they're grouped up together. Boys with the boys, girls with the girls. So now you see it in that very small window of opportunity of a turkey's life where they have to breed. That that DNA in them, that nature says you got to get as many hens as possible. So you can capitalize on these lonely gobblers up in the middle of the day if you just get out there. But so many people, because the weather gets a little hot or because they've been turkey hunting 2 or 3 weeks and ain't had no success, they're down, they're mentally defeated, and they think, it's just so hard in late season. It's just so hard. They've been shot at, they've been called to. It doesn't matter. Turkeys are turkeys. And when you can go into the season thinking that turkeys are just turkeys and they're just out there doing their thing and capitalize on it, you're going to find out that the late season is probably the most tremendous time for a turkey hunter. If I had to choose, now I'm glad I don't have to, but if I had to choose between hunting April and May, I'd pick May every time, because I have killed so many gobblers and just huge gobblers. Now, some of my biggest gobblers have come in this late season. Now, it's true that when it comes to calling in the late season, you don't want to get out there and just hammer your calls like you did, say, 3 or 4 weeks ago. However, you'll find a gobbler every once in a while that wants aggressive calling. I've called a lot of them with hard, aggressive calling, just like I would the 1st of April in the late season, but it depends on the turkey's mood. However, the general rule is stay where you're sitting at longer, call softer, move through there, just be that hen that's moved in that area. Of course, that's the way I turkey hunt just about all seasons, all the 4 phases. That's about the way I do it, so nothing really changes for me. But I try not to get super aggressive unless the turkey wants that. Now, sometimes you'll find a gobbler up at 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the day that just is absolutely gobbling at everything, and he's wanting that hard aggressive cutting and hard aggressive calling. So don't just go on that rule of, well, you got to call soft in the late season. Let the turkey tell you what he wants and how to call to him. But the general rule is call softer, set longer, and be more patient, and that's where you're going to start finding these old mid-morning, late, long-spurred gobblers, coming in. Boy, these gnats are crazy. When I'm setting up, I try to just pick a spot where I can get some good shooting lanes if it's in the timber, and I get there and I just sit and get comfortable and just start being that hen that's just moved in that area. And many times you'll have a gobbler that just appears out of nowhere that gobbles right over the hill from you, 80 yards, and you never knew he was there, and he'll just do a search gobble for you, and man, you're like, whoa, and you'll just you'll get pointed in that direction, and you just keep soft calling him. And I've seen many times in the late season where in 5 minutes or 10 minutes he's on top of you. All right, so the late season can be just tremendous. In fact, like I said, it's my favorite time to turkey hunt. But it is a little bit of a challenge sometimes, especially if the weather's hot, and sometimes you have real bad storms, especially in the late season, and so that can kind of mess things up. But as soon as them weather fronts move out, just like this morning, I got out here at 8:30. As soon as them weather fronts move out, that's the time to go. Don't just sit there and go, well, I didn't get out at daylight. I can't turkey hunt because I didn't get out at daylight. No, get out there at 9, 10, 11 o'clock, because that's the times when magic happens many times. Now, it hasn't today, but many times magic happens at 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock and in the late season. So get out here and slip into these spots. I try not to call in the late season. I try not to call until I get in the spot where I'm sort of wanting to get at, and then I start trying to call a little bit instead of calling way back there, because you may have a gobbler down here that just ain't saying much in the late season, and he's moving towards you the whole time, or he's looking up in your direction and he sees you coming. So I would rather just slip in there and then start my soft calling once I get into the area where I want to go. So it's just little bitty things you have to tweak here and there, where say you was doing 3 or 4 weeks ago, you just kind of have to stop doing them, move in here, and I'll tell you, late season is tremendous. Another thing I try to do is in the late season, I try to match what I'm sitting around. So in the late season, you have a lot of greenery like this, so I try to wear some kind of camouflage that's got some greenery in it, like this green leaf or full foliage. But I just try to match what I'm around, because sometimes I think it makes a difference. Maybe not all the time, because camouflage it's important to a point, but the main thing is to sit still. That's the main thing, is to learn how to sit still, and you can be out there in a green flannel shirt and blue jeans and kill a turkey. But I do think sometimes when you're like in like open hardwoods, or maybe you're in the edge of a field and you're stuck out a little bit, the right camo pattern does help blend you in, and it may give you just that little bitty edge. So I do believe in camouflage, but the main thing is to sit still any time of the turkey season. But I try to match what I'm around. Like yesterday, I killed that gobbler, and I was sitting up kind of against a real bare small tree, but I had a lot of stuff like this around me, and having some greenery on, I think, just eased his mind enough, because he looked up a few, 3 or 4 times, and he's, looking sort of at me, and but of course he had that hen with him, and his mind was on her, thankfully, so I had a live decoy out there. But the late season, like I said, don't give up on the turkey season, because You know that old song, it's the most wonderful time of the year, Christmas song. Well, to me, late season, I go through the woods going, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And it's true. Go back and look over the history of my channel here. Look at all the big 1.5-inch gobblers that I've killed, and when have they come? In May. They've come right in that late part of the season. So anyways, don't give up. Set longer, call softer, get some good camo on, sit still, get in these areas where you know gobblers have been, get up in there in the mid-morning, and man, you can have some tremendous success. So but in the morning, I think, well, about the time I upload this, because I was going to upload this on the 30th, so in the morning, May the 1st starts. So we're going to get into the most wonderful time of the year. Stay tuned, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I'd really appreciate if you come back, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and let's see what the next 25 days will hold. I think it's going to be pretty good. So stay tuned, and let's have a good time this late season. And make sure to subscribe to our channel. Just hit that subscribe button down in the corner. I really appreciate it. Also, check out all of our sponsors in the links below. Spring Fever Custom Calls, where you can get my signature series of turkey calls from the old gobbler getter when they're in stock. The little sly, the old sly, the slate call, all of the signature calls there, and all the other great calls from Spring Fever Custom Calls. Check them out in the links below. Check out Stoker Shotguns. Check out Tidewee, where you can get blinds, boots, a lot of great hunting equipment. If you ain't been going over to Tidewee, you're really missing out. Just make sure to use the promo code DALE to even get a better discount on all your purchases. And check out Kona Scopes, Game Cuffs, and our brand new sponsor, Obsession Bows. Check them out, because I'll tell you what, I'm really impressed with my bow, and I've been out shooting it and trying to get used to it. Really impressed with it. So check them out at Obsession Bows. We really appreciate all of those that help us, and make sure to join me on Patreon, where you can become a $5 a month supporter to Dale Outdoors and help us out, just to help us bring you better content and all that. So follow me on social media. Hey, just appreciate everybody, and keep following me, and I'll see you in the next video.